Okay, Adamus versus Armah Kofi Buah. What do we know so far? All right, let's see it. What do we know? What do we know so far? Okay, did I skip something? Okay. All right. So the disputes between Ghana's Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources and Adamus Resources Limited centers on the government's April 26th revocation of Adamus mining lease for the alleged breaches of mining laws, which Adamus insists was unlawful and politically motivated. Mm-hmm. Unlawful and politically motivated. I'm not sure about that. But I mean, here is John Mahama's government, which has done creditably in securing mines for Ghanaians, i.e. Ibrahim Mahama and Daman and all of that, which we came here to defend, that we have to give the mines to Ghanaians. Okay. The ministry maintains that revocation was regulatory, not a move to sell Adamus's assets. Yes. While Adamus accuses the minister of abuse of power and vows to challenge the decision in court. So on 26th April, Lands Minister, the Honorable Emmanuel Armah Kofi Buah, revoked Adamus' license at Akango, Salman, and Crawford, following Minerals Commission's investigations alleging breaches of the Minerals and Mining Act 2026. On April 27, the next day, Adamus issued a press statement rejecting the allegations and claiming it was not formally notified or given the statutory 120 days. Yes. So we have to go into the law to see if there is a 120 days in the Minerals Commission Act. Then in 26th of May, 2026, Ghana Chamber of Mines questioned the revocation, citing selective enforcement compared to the other mining companies. But you know what the ministry say about this? They say that a high-profile official of Adamus Mining is also the deputy at the Chamber of Mines. Yes. Ken Ashigbe is the boss at the Chamber of Mines. Yes, and tonight we'll be talking about Ken Ashigbe when we get to the second story on Galamsey viewers. But they say that Ken Ashigbe is the boss of the chamber, and his deputy is a high-profile manager of Adamus Mines. So they are thinking Chamber of Mines is being compromised one way or the other. Compromise may be a strong word, but it doesn't mean that they are wrong. Chamber of Mines will have more information than we do, wouldn't they? Interim Management Committee, IMC. Government sets up an IMC to oversee the mine pending review. Adamus allegedly failed to cooperate. Yes. Okay, so that will suggest to us, and Pakwesi is here, he'll tell us later, whether Adamus had representation on the IMC.
Yes, but because, then on selective enforcement, I want to take us back to 2009, 2010. Do you remember there was news of a certain oil spill?
Once you say 2009, 2010, for political animals, our mind quickly goes to who was in charge, NDC, Professor Mills.
The NDC, okay. Professor Mills, his first term before his passing on. So there was an oil spill by an American company named Cosmos, if we are allowed to mention
Yes, Cosmos,
name. Yes, and it happened, as the lawyers would say, in flagrante delicto, red-handed, basically. Now, there was a committee under the sector ministry that recommended that that company should pay a fine of about $35 million. Now, their representation, a certain law firm, notable law firm in Ghana at the time, refuted this and suggested that that committee, in fact, starting from the Constitution to all statutory laws, any subsidiary legislation, did not give the government, any ministry, any committee under a ministry, the power to issue any fines. And so they called it unconstitutional, a breach of laws, a breach of their rights as a company. Now, interestingly, the response of the government was to go back and forth, not to revoke their licenses, not to shut them down, not to attack them. And so in light of this situation, where there is history of the government catching a company red-handed, as they would suggest doing something, the government was willing to negotiate, willing to let them meet whatever requirements they had to meet. Comparing that to the situation today, it seems a little bit like the case on selective enforcement of the law.
Okay, so you're kind of agreeing with the Chamber of Mines. It appears like that. Okay, let's get to the reasons that the Ministers' Committee gave, and then perhaps we can understand why he revoked the license. Okay. On August 10th, 2026, the Interministerial Committee submitted its final report affirming most breaches, that's breaches, Pakwesi will tell us what the breaches are, and uncovering additional defaults, tax arrears, unpaid royalties, unexplained gold exports variance. I am hoping that these tax arrears that they found, they got it from the Ghana Revenue Authority, because really, an IMC set up by the Minister of Lands shouldn't have a mandate to be checking tax arrears. Certainly not.
Yes.
But of course, an IMC set up by the Minister of Lands can ask the Ghana Revenue Authority that give us information on this company, and they may find it. So they say tax arrears, but they don't tell us the details, how much money is owed. I mean, from the grapevine, we have heard that the money they are quoting is 400 and 300 million cedis.
Okay.
But the Ghana Revenue Authority must tell us why they allow a company to owe 300 million cedis. We always hear these things. One day they break into a company and say they owe 1 billion.
Yes.
How did the Ghana Revenue Authority allow a
accumulate.
company to accumulate up to that amount of money? So that we need a bit more investigation.
Clarity.
Unpaid royalties. Now these royalties are paid to government.
They are.
And the lands minister would have authority to look at unpaid royalties. Now, if we check the unpaid royalties, can we compare to other mining companies? And we can have a league table to show that Adamus is at the bottom of league table of not paying royalties, or that these royalties are paid. You know, these gold people, they have a chain. So they pick the gold, they do that, they come around, and then they come and pay the royalties. So they will know the royalties at the beginning, whether it's a carried interest of 13% as is GMPC, whether it's this, whether it's that, and then they pay later. If that is what it is, then perhaps the ministry is being high-handed. If, on the other hand, it's a blatant dereliction of corporate responsibility to Ghana, then we will know. But they say tax arrears, unpaid royalties, unexplained gold export variances. Minister Buah upheld the revocation. This was on 10th August 2026. Now, 12th August 2026. Ministry clarified that Adamus assets were not for sale. Okay, so between the revocation in April and these August dates, there was a high-level meeting that is not set out in this chronology because it wasn't public. A very high-level meeting at the Jubilee House, chaired by a very important person about this matter. Adamus were there. Yes, we are coming to this. Adamus were there, and the ministry was also there. Adamus were there with their lawyers. The decision of the meeting, we are told, is that Adamus was told that they should respond to the report, the IMC's report, and that the minister should consider their response. So after the minister considered their response, that's when he came back and affirmed that having seen what Adamus has written, it doesn't hold water according to him. I mean, I don't know who is a court in this kind of situation to make these determinations, but perhaps let's see what happens. So minister's action, he set up an interim management committee. Now, this is a separate document that we have drawn from what we are hearing from lawyers from Adamus. Minister set up an interim management committee to run the mine, which Adamus called unlawful. There was a high-level meeting where it was agreed, that's the meeting I'm referring to, where it was agreed that the minister should receive Adamus's response. Adamus's defense is that the company submitted responses, denied the allegations, but the minister upheld the revocation. So basically, when the minister looked at the Adamus report, he decided that he will affirm and uphold the revocation. No document was written to Adamus. They don't have any letter. If they do, Pakwesi will tell us whether the minister wrote to Adamus and said, we have seen your paragraph 1. We disagree with it. This is the evidence attached, blah, blah, blah. I'm not sure whether they did that, but we'll get to know in a minute. Aftermath. Adamus insists allegations are false and are manufactured. So what are the violations of the minister that Adamus is alleging? They are saying that the due process consent, section 68 of Act 703, which requires a 120-day period before cancellation of mining rights, was ignored. Adamus argues, fantastic. This is section 68. So Minerals and Mining Act 2006, Act 703, Section 68, suspension and cancellation of a mineral right. 2, that's 68.2. The minister shall, before suspending or cancelling a mineral right under subsection 1, give notice to the holder and shall in the notice require the holder to remedy a breach of the condition of the mineral rights within a reasonable period, being not less than 120 days. In the case of a mining lease or restricted mining lease, or 60 days in the case of another mineral right, and where the breach cannot be remedied, to show cause to the satisfaction of the minister why the mineral rights should not be suspended. So let's assume that the minister will go for the last one, that forget about 120, forget about the 60. It says, okay, the remedy cannot, the breach where the remedy cannot be remedied. The breach cannot be remedied. So assuming that Adamus is being told that they have done galamsey, you have already dig the ground, you have destroyed the water, so that cannot be remedied. In that case, they have to ask Adamus to show cause to the satisfaction of the minister why the mineral rights should not be suspended. Now, this to show cause here doesn't say it should be by letter, whether it should be by a meeting, whether it should be by a phone call. So I mean, the court will have to look at that. It's quite big.
Like
here it says 120 days for sure. Let's stay with the document. It says 120 days first.
Yes.
Then if it's another type of lease, 60 days. If the breach is not remedied, and I don't know whether they go to the definition clause of the act to talk about what is a breach that cannot be remedied. So all of that is opened up. So it's a breach that cannot be remedied. For instance, somebody has died. Perhaps. That cannot be remedied.
I think ecological concerns, perhaps.
Most likely, because this is mining. And ecological concerns cannot be remedied.
They can be. Reclamation. There are processes.
Yeah, you can do reclamation. You can plant trees. You can do all of that. I didn't want to plant the trees, and they still jailed him. I mean, we will never forget that. To show cause why to the satisfaction of the minister. Okay, let's get back to the document, unless you want us to look more at it. Okay. So what are the violations of the minister? Yes. That's the due process. So Adamus is saying that the 120-day period was not adhered to. The revocation was immediate, without recourse to a fair hearing.
Now, this is very important because you know that at law, there is something referred to as natural justice, where a principle known as audi alteram partem, where in any judicial or quasi-judicial hearing, a decision of this sort is going to be made and there's a failure of natural justice, that decision is void. It's unacceptable. So this is a concern.
So if Adamus says that they were not consulted and then they were just given a revocation, that's a problem.
Yes, that's
all right. The company Adamus denies all allegations as false and contrived and claims selective application of law and political bias is what I'm really interested in. Is Adamus an MPP company?
Oh.
Because political bias will suggest that we are on different sides of the political divide and
politics is not always partisan.
Okay.
It's not always partisan.
Okay, that's interesting. Suspicion is being raised over Chinese investors being shown the site. So after all of this happened, what then brought the story to the front of the news is that photographs emerged from Adamus mine, where, and I'm going to show you some, where Chinese investors, and by the way, viewers, in the second part of this, we have the audio recording of the conversations between the Chinese and the Ghanaians. And when we play that audio, anyone will be able to appreciate why the Chinese were there. We are told that the Chinese come from, it should be World Gold Council, but the document of the forms they filled at the meeting, which we have photocopies of, says World Gold Organization. There's nothing like World Gold, and viewers can Google it. If you can, please Google World Gold Council and World Gold Organization. Perhaps the Chinese and their English, they wanted to say World Gold Council, but they said World Gold Organization. So that can be remedied. But on the document, the facts of the documents that they said World Gold Organization. So these are the Chinese who went there. Now, if they came from the World Gold Council, the World Gold Council does that. They can ask people to come. But the fact that they were citizens of China or Chinese people made everyone worried. And that is why the media and the social media all got very concerned that, why are you giving the Adamus mine to Chinese people? And that's what informed our flyer, which has created a lot of problem, that who owns Adamus mine? Is it the Ghanaian or it is Chinese? So this is the story. Is that all we know? Do we know some more? Tonight we are not playing any recording yet. Okay. Yes. There's discontent among Nzima chiefs over representation by non-gazetted cities. So when we put up the flyer, I got a call from the chief of Isiama. Isiama is a town there. He's very angry. He's livid. And he says that Adamus are doing their work. And what is the point? And I could hear the noise behind him. He had some queen mothers and chiefs, and they're all very worried. They are threatening to come over to Accra to collect the Adamus lease and go back and work.
These things are very sensitive. The locals are always very, they feel like it is a part of them. The mining that happens. So understandably, they would be frustrated.
But the allegations and the whispers is that there's galamsey in the area.
Oh, really?
And so, I mean, these galamsey allegations, when they come. All right, so I think that's what we know so far. Let's get onto the table and ask the one who has all the answers. Pakwesi Shandov is in the studio. Michael, I'll see you in a minute. And Uncle Pakwesi, good evening.
Good evening, Paul.
You'll be very busy on this Adamus matter.
Exactly.
So what can you tell us?
Well, so Paul, first off, good evening to yourself and to our good listeners who are connected across the globe. On this particular matter, it's important to note that when it comes to the management of our natural resources, it is not done with recourse to anybody's personal interest or private sentiments. Everything is grounded and embedded in law. And so I'll start from the genesis. I mean, where we started from up to this particular point. As a routine practice, the Minerals Commission ordinarily would go to mining companies and, as it were, inspect their operations and familiarize themselves with the nature of their management and all of that. And so such an exercise was done earlier, and subsequent to that, a report was sent to the headquarters of the Minerals Commission in Accra. Now, that report raised very concerning breaches with respect to the operations of Adamus. I mean, they were clear enough, but the minister, in the interest of Honorable Kofi Buah, in the interest of due diligence, then decided to commission another, if you like, fact-finding party to go and validate and confirm the first reports that had come from the regional outfit of the Minerals Commission. So first, there was a regional report.
So this thing was routine.
Exactly.
Targeting
No.
So did you go to other sites?
Oh, of course. And in due course, I'm sure when there are other legitimate concerns of that nature, that would,
But normally you don't tell Adamus that you're coming.
It's routine.
Okay.
Even if you are informed, it would not in any way obstruct the quality of the validation or the inspection that they're about to conduct. So it started at a regional level. The reports came to the minister. The minister wanted to validate it. Therefore, he commissioned, like I said, another team from the headquarters. They went, they came back, and indeed they brought the same report, which was, even if you want to...
What were the breaches?
I'm coming to that, which was even more staggering. I mean, the second report that came. And so, given the nature of the report, I mean, the obvious had to be done, which was the revocation, which was communicated on the 26th of April. Now, I'm sure, I don't think perhaps we could go through the litany of issues that, culminated in this particular outcome. But if you want to summarize all of them, the nature of the breaches, the first one, which perhaps we could also characterize as the principal one, is the fact that Adamus ceded portions of its mining concessions to other parties without recourse to the provision that demands express ministerial approval. I would want to...
like a sublease?
Exactly. I want to practicalize this a little. So let's assume that I rented a facility to you, a house for that matter, and the purpose of that transaction was for you to use it as a place of residence. Then in the course of time, you change your mind and say, well, you want to convert it to a factory or repurpose it for any other, desired objective. I mean, even in the realm of common sense, I think it is appropriate for you to revert to me, the landlord, and come and tell me that, look, you gave me this XYZ apartment, but I have, other plans. Then we can renegotiate the terms, and then I'll give you my approval. This is even very ordinary in the realms of common sense.
They found that Adamus had sublet part of
the
lease they had.
Exactly, to other miners without coming to seek prior approval from the minister.
Without the permission of the minister.
Without the permission of the minister.
I've seen this somewhere. I've seen this something without the permission of the minister somewhere. It's a win to me matter. I saw it.
Yes, without the prior express approval of the sector minister. So I'm summarizing also, that was one. Then you also have to look at their general operations.
From Adamus to those people, how was it evidence? Is it a document? Or is the practicality of they working there and you ask them, what are you doing here? They said, so and so said we should come here.
It's the practicality of the thing they are doing. And beyond that, indeed, I'm sure we could serve you a full copy of the report of the Chief Inspector of Mines. You would even observe at a point that those who the concession was established to, at a point they were arrested by the police. Law enforcement came for them. And then Adamus intervened and went to their aid at a point.
Evidence?
Yes, that is evidence. That's on record.
An officer of Adamus?
Absolutely. Officers of Adamus. All right. So
that means Adamus knew them. That's what that
precisely, because logically, if they didn't know them,
were they Chinese people? Those who were arrested?
Yes, some were Chinese. Some were Chinese. Some were not Chinese.
But why did the police agree to give them bail? Because Adamus came? Why?
No, the police didn't give them bail because Adamus came. I mean, it's a normal thing. You can't hold them in detention forever. So as for that, while investigations are ongoing, you can't keep them in custody forever. But the point is, it was Adamus who supported and facilitated their bailing or their release, so to speak. And that even is evidence enough that there is some kind of relationship between those individuals and then Adamus.
But how do you say Adamus gave them? Were they workers of Adamus or they got a lease? or they got a sublease? Were they staff of Adamus?
No,
because if Adamus is in Accra or in Kumasi and they are told that your people have been arrested, they will naturally go to the police.
It's not their people. I'm saying that the concession that they had subleased, those who were working there, law enforcement came for them.
The sublease by document? Or we are guessing that they sublease?
No, it's by, like I said, the practicality of the arrangement between them. And following conversations and, if you like, confirmations from Adamus, it was obvious that these were people who were now working for Adamus. That is incontrovertible.
Were they doing galamsey, those people? Or they were doing normal mining?
Illegal mining.
They were doing illegal mining?
Illegal mining
on
is
Adamus's site?
On a site that, on Adamus's sites that Adamus had given to them without the approval of the minister, right? And that is also part of illegal mining. Indeed, when we talk about illegal mining, it's not so much about the environmental practice. If, for example, a concession is given to you and you step outside of that boundary, that equally constitutes illegal mining. But away from that, away from the subleasing without a prior ministerial approval, there was also the issue of their general environmental practices. That is the way they went about their mining, and that I must say it is a bit technical. So perhaps if we could apprise ourselves with the full reports, we would understand. But generally, it appeared that what they were doing was not in conformity with the laid down regulations that governed, mining. That governs mining in this particular country. And so, the reports came, and the minister, based on the findings, therefore decided to revoke their license. That was on the 26th of April. So the conversation about they being prior informed, then indeed we can all agree that yes, in the interest of natural justice, you might have to listen to the other side before you take a decision. But then in practice and in certain instances, the minister, based on the depth and the gravity of the offense, especially when the offenses cannot be undone, so to speak, giving hearing prior or even giving them the 120 window, to remedy their offenses would be non-consequential because the offenses cannot even be remedied in the very first place. But look at what even happened.
Tell them at least. That
no, they were notified.
Before
they were notified.
The revocation.
Exactly. So after the notification, the next thing that happened was that they came to the ministry with a petition. And I recall that meeting, lucidly. They came with a petition to the effect that they were impressing upon the minister to temper justice with mercy, and that they were going to do, rights and rectify the issues. So the minister admitted the petition, constituted a committee to interrogate and diagnose the merits of the petition or otherwise. Around that same time, the minister also constituted the interim management committee to exercise oversight during that period. Now, that was way back in, if my memory serves me right, I think in the early days of May, thereabout. That was when the IMC was set.
So before the 26th April, Adamus knew that an IMC had gone there and had gotten a negative report.
Not an IMC, the Chief Inspector of Mines.
The Chief Inspector of Mines had gone there
and
engaged gotten a negative
them.
Report of them.
Exactly.
And that they knew that. And they had come to the minister.
Yes.
With a petition.
Yes.
And all this happened before 26th April.
No. Let's create the chronology. So around 26th to 30th of March was when the Chief Inspector of Mines engaged them that, okay, these are the breaches that I have found, these are the irregularities that I've observed, and then he accommodated their concerns and their comments as well. So they were heard in that particular respect. I found XYZ against you. What is your view? What is your response to that? All of those were collated. Then it came to the table of the minister to now take a decision based on the recommendation of MINCOM. Then on the 26th of April, the decision was subsequently communicated.
Until then, you hadn't spoken to Adamus?
Until
the 26th of April?
No, I'm saying we had spoken to Adamus.
No, I just want to get a chronology clear. So, reports came. Did you give the report to Adamus?
Yes, that's the point.
So, around which date was that? So,
that was between, I think, the 26th to the 30th of March, between that period.
So, in the last week of March, you engaged Adamus and told them that this is what has happened.
Exactly.
And they brought a petition.
No, they brought their response. So, when you make the finding, in the interest of fair hearing, you have to let them understand that these are the observations that we have made with respect to your operations in this particular enclave. And that is exactly what was done. All right. Then their views were accommodated. But after their views were accommodated, then the Minerals Commission goes to now analyze it again and makes a recommendation to the minister for onward revocation. Then after the revocation, they came with a petition that indeed they had been engaged prior, and they admit that the truth of the matter is that there are issues to be discussed, and therefore they are asking the minister to temper justice with mercy. So the minister then said that, okay, under the circumstances, I would constitute a committee to look at it and see if we can, find, some grounds to, come to perhaps a more desirable outcome or conclusion. It is within this period of the establishment of the IMC and the examination of the petition that even more violations emerged. For example, the case you were making about the non-payment of royalties and all of those.
Did Adamus have a seat on the IMC?
Yes, but it wasn't a controlling seat on the IMC. Okay, the IMC, I cannot recall the membership with exactitude.
But about how many people?
But I think it was about my memory.
So they're taking over management.
Yes.
So manager, this manager, that manager.
Exactly.
So everybody, Adamus step aside.
Not everybody.
Okay, some were kept.
Practically, it cannot even be everybody
because
they have been involved. Yeah. I mean, they know the ins and outs and all of that. So it wasn't everybody who was necessarily set aside. All right, it was done because you needed to even make some more findings. You can't let everybody, essentially go away. And it was within that period that more, and I would, for some, I think I would have to read it so that our viewers would understand and really know what had happened. So, Paul, within this period, look at what the IMC, for example, was unable to unravel. That, number one, Adamus was in default of the payment of its mineral rights fee to the tune of $2,563,866.
Default to who?
To the state. Yes, to the state, with no proposal to make payments to the Minerals Commission. That's number one. Then again, Adamus, it was determined that Adamus was in default of payment of mineral rights to the Mineral Income Investment Fund and the Ghana Revenue Authority to the tune of 86 million Ghana cedis. So let's say 86,786,275.20 Ghana cedis. Then this was also equally concerning. Now the IMC was able to discover that there was a variance of 2,914.44 ounces between quantity of gold exported by Adamus to that declared to the Ghana Revenue Authority. So the
variance.
Yes, the quantum of gold that
declaration.
There was an under declaration to that effect. In line with that, there was also evidence that proved that their own financial statements, Adamus's financial statements audited, showed that the company had transferred an amount of $224 million to related parties, both within outside Ghana, as at the end of 2024. Okay, and then also it was very clear that their financial statements also showed that an amount of $123 million US dollars was transferred to Sigala Mining Corporation SA, Semico 1 and 2, all in Mali.
These are subsidiaries of the company.
All in Mali, yes, all in Mali between 2020 and the year 2024. Also, they refused, during that period, to submit their documents such as their gold production book, the contract service agreements with third parties, and their corporate social responsibility record from 2020 to date. So if you examine all
what's wrong with they transferring money to another company of theirs in Mali or Senegal? What's wrong with it?
Really, it has to do with the understatement of their profits. It is how much.
So that was done to obscure their profits. Is that what the committee
exactly
found?
And all of these didn't come during the initial examination by the Minerals Commission. They came in the course of the IMC's tenure.
So IMC kind of took over the company.
Yes,
sort of.
yes. So
and you said the company had a representation.
Yes, there was a representation.
A senior one.
In fact, actually, at the very outset, the company questioned the authority of the IMC that it was not grounded in law for them to assume the management of the company within that period. And so there was very little collaboration, to put it mildly. There was no real collaboration between the management of Adamus and then.
So the IMC went into a hostile takeover.
We cannot call it a hostile takeover.
But it's very similar. If they are challenging the legal authority,
it's not,
then they'll boycott the IMC.
If the goal or the objective was to be hostile, then perhaps maybe the minister would not have entertained the petition in the very first place. I decided to entertain the petition. I have grounds to revoke. I have indeed revoked. But then I'm saying, let me give it a second thought. But in the meantime, because you are being investigated, or we are scanning your petition and diagnosing it, you cannot be managing your own affairs, because clearly there will be an issue of a conflict of interest.
During the IMC period, did Adamus produce gold?
We do not have, the record doesn't reflect that. I cannot speak to.
So then maybe if Adamus didn't produce gold, then perhaps the IMC was more of an auditing company, auditing effort. Because if you take over Metro TV and you take over the management, Good Evening Ghana will continue. Good Morning Ghana will continue. The manager, MD will change, maybe head of finance will change, but the company will continue running. So if in the period of the IMC, Adamus did not produce gold, then can we really call it an IMC? Unless the IMC decided that, I will say that, stop production, let's look into the books first. Maybe, I don't know. But otherwise, it sounds uncomfortable. If I am the Adamus, it sounds like a coup d'etat on my company.
It's absolutely, Paul, it's absolutely not a coup d'etat. Okay, because workers were still at post.
Yeah, they were paid?
Yes, everything.
How many months did the IMC? Is the IMC still working today?
No, the IMC is no longer working.
How long did they work? What was their mandate? So
their mandate was very simple. Pending the determination, the final determination of the petition, they were supposed to, steer affairs.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Pending the final determination.
So at which point did they decide IMC should leave or should be dissolved?
Who decided? Adamus?
No, you are saying the IMC is no longer there. When did they get dissolved?
Oh, I think that was in the latter part of, memory tells me right, latter part of July. It's very close in of July.
What was the decision? What animated it? What brought about the decision to dissolve the IMC?
Because they had basically completed their work.
Which was what?
Which was to go into the operations of Adamus, and then you see, it's also important to put on record that the issues of Adamus also stemmed from some allegations that had been made against them, from persons in the jurisdiction, the area where they were operating. So the IMC said, look, let us look at all of these issues. The very reports that was initially used as the basis for the revocation and all other relevant matters. Now we have an opportunity to really see the inside of their operations. Let's see, are there breaches? Are there violations? Are there irregularities? What are the issues that are not being the matters that are not being properly attended to? The IMC did all of that, and they came with the conclusions that I have highlighted.
But the Minerals Commission, don't they have up-to-date information on all their, I can call them clients, those who hold their licenses? Doesn't the Minerals Commission have up-to-date information? Do you need an IMC to go in and find out, etc., etc., etc.? I don't know. The National Communication Authority has all the information on Metro TV today. They know how many adverts we have played. They know everything we're doing. They don't need an IMC to come here and find out. I'm hoping the Minerals Commission has, because mining is a lot more money than television.
Exactly.
Don't they have it?
It's a confirmation and validation process. Because, again, if we go back to the trajectory, you remember I said that there was a regional report from the regional office at Mincom that had come to the fore. Then the minister, in the interest of fairness and prudence, decided to commission another fact-finding, team, so to speak, to validate what the regional outfit had done. Then all of those were done. It became apparent that, look, we have to take some, very serious action. The action was taken. They brought a petition. So it was just a matter of, let's see if we are wrong. We've taken a decision. And in that process, of course, there was another window that was opened for the Minerals Commission to, see more things. For example,
if the minister had told Mineral Commission, come to my office, bring me a file on Adamus, they wouldn't have found all these?
No, they would have found them.
So why were they sitting down and doing nothing?
No, that's what I'm saying, that it was a matter of validation. when I say validation, I want to explain.
Okay, so you are guessing to us that these were matters that were known, but they wanted to actually confirm.
Exactly. That's the point I'm making. Validation. So, okay,
so
these
as we
are
sit here, Minerals Commission knows the state of affairs of Mine X, Mine Y. They know Akunta mining. They know it. They know everything. They don't need an IMC to go in and find out. There's been tax violations and the declaration of gold. Gold exports is done by who? Bank of Ghana? You are talking about the variances in the amount of gold they have exported. Who do they make that report to? As a company of the mining lease?
That is declared to the Ghana Revenue Authority.
Yes, the gold export is declared to the Ghana Revenue Authority. So the under variations were made to the Ghana Revenue Authority.
Yes.
So the Ghana Revenue Authority is the institution that told the IMC that we have experienced under variation. But they didn't know it until the IMC was established.
Great. So this is the point. You see, when you go in there like that, and let's be very maybe practical and fair. When you are outside, perhaps there's a limit to the extent of information that you may have, as compared to when you now come into the thick of affairs. So it is not the case that during the period the Minerals Commission has been in oblivion. Absolutely not. Except that now the matters became clearer, plainer, and then you had evidence to actually.
So the Ghana Revenue Authority today, they don't know how much gold Akunta Mining has exported. They were waiting for an IMC, then they will come and tell us there has been variation. They don't know it. No. This is such a precious mineral that is.
No, it's not. That's not the case. I think I'm saying the IMC came following the petition, right? If the IMC, if there was no petition, of course, the internal checks and the measures and the lenses of scrutiny would have worked. But there was a petition, so now you needed to.
So they're acting on the petition.
Yes, you needed to know that we have not done the things that you have.
And the petition said that the things you say we have done, we have not done.
We have not done them. We have not done them. So now,
so Minister says, now you come along with us.
Let's come
open your book. Let's show you where you have done it.
And then exactly.
You know, I'm asking these questions because there's allegations of political bias and targeting, unfair targeting. And this can relate to unfair targeting. There are many mines in Ghana. One Adamus mine is there. Minister says, I'm coming. They come, they say that you are violated. IMC, they set up an IMC. We say we won't cooperate with the IMC. IMC goes in and comes and says that, oh, GRA says that you owe them this. This one says that you owe them that. That one says that you owe them that. But the GRA, if people owe them this under declaration, which is so significant, and they've been transferring as much as 224 million United States dollars. I don't know whether the word is illegal, but irregularly. If they have irregularly transferred as much as $224 million, Ghana Revenue Authority didn't tell us. They didn't know about it. They have not taken any action against Adamus. As at today, the Ghana Revenue Authority has not taken any action against Adamus on a 224 million United States dollars irregular transfer to companies in the West African sub-region. That's difficult to swallow, Pakwesi.
Well,
that's difficult to swallow.
Not to hold brief for the GRA, but let us assume without admitting that indeed prior to now, that information was not in the knowledge of the GRA. Substantively, we know it now. And action has
so the revocation,
but the revocation. I wanted to respond quickly to the accusation of political interference and targeting. This is not because I work with the sector minister. Normally in fact
those who talk about targeting say that targeting an innocent Ghanaian woman. And it evokes a lot of emotions.
Absolutely not.
Ghanaian woman.
It was just recently that a mine was handed over to a Ghanaian entity, all right? And indeed, the ministry over the period has been very, very concerned about, Ghanaian outfits in the space. That is why now we have even tightened the local content rules and all of that. It is not a case that the minister, Honorable Kofi, would want to target anybody. It is on the face of the violations as were unraveled during the inspection. Indeed, you see, and I think there is also a conversation we must have, Paul. The fact that we encourage the participation of Ghanaian companies does not mean that we would treat them softly in the event of breaches. Okay, because we're talking about local participation doesn't mean that there's also local sympathy. Indeed, if you are giving opportunity to, the local outfits, hold them to the same standards of compliance as well. And so this was not targeted. I want to show you two entities. whose licenses have been revoked, large-scale licenses whose operations were revoked pretty much recently. For example, in September thereabout, you have that of Narawa Mining Company Limited.
Is it a local company?
No, it's not necessarily a local company. Then again, you had here Hongwe Mining and Amenthi Mining Company Limited. Their licenses were equally revoked on similar grounds, and it's a litany of them. We can, go on and on and on. So it is not like perhaps maybe there may be other reasons why Adamus has become prominent, and that is more topical. But this has been happening across board, irrespective of the owner, the parties involved, or the operating stakeholders.
Tell us about this meeting that was held, a high-level meeting at Jubilee, where we hear it was decided by the important people at Jubilee that the ministry should receive Adamus's response from their lawyers. That suggests that the high-level meeting noticed that Adamus's response had not been taken into consideration. Should we go away with that opinion?
Paul, the meeting you speak about, I have no knowledge of that meeting whatsoever.
Okay.
A meeting...
You haven't been briefed?
No. I don't know about any such meeting whatsoever. That a meeting was held and the directive was that the ministry should admit the response.
Adamus should send a response to the ministry the committee's report, or the report that came from the mine. The report that alleged the breaches, the violations, and all that. Adamus should respond to it.
But I'm not aware of any such meeting. In any case, and this is very hypothetical, I'm saying it tentatively. In any case whatsoever, during the period of the interrogation of the petition and all of that, Adamus, like I'm saying, they were engaged, they were contacted. So their views had already been incorporated in the final outcome. But I'm saying I don't know about...
Okay. What about Chinese people showing up? And that's where the issue is so worrying. That days after the revocation, Minerals Commission officials go with the Chinese people. We have some tape recordings that we are not playing tonight. But what was that about?
So let's put on record that it is routine practice for prospective investors to want to familiarize themselves with... if you like, the places that they are interested in, or the areas that they want to go and put their investments into. That should be understood as routine practice. And this particular one was one of them. Indeed, it wasn't only Adamus that the said Chinese visited. They visited a couple of other mining companies, in that particular enclave. And so the report that came that government had now brought in Chinese 24 hours after the revocation of, the final revocation, I should say, of Adamus's license is one that I have had cause to say on other sister platforms that it should be thoroughly dismissed, because nothing like that has happened. As we speak, the mine has reverted to the Minerals Commission. Is currently in the custody of the state until such a time that the future of the mine will be determined. That is going to be the status quo.
So the Chinese people were there to look at what?
They were simply there to, as like I was saying, they were exploring their investment interests. And I'm saying it wasn't only Adamus that they visited at all. It was really not.
Why did they visit Adamus at all?
And
Adamus belongs to someone. There's a revocation that is being contended. Why are Chinese people there?
Because there is a revocation that is being contended.
Yeah, it's being contended. So the contest is not over.
No. So there's the possibility that it will not. It would be finally.
That the challenge will fail.
Absolutely.
And if it fails, we are giving it to Chinese.
No, we're not giving it to. We are not giving it to Chinese.
No, what are they doing? Because the locals were very upset about that.
No, Paul, I'm saying that they were exploring, like I said, their investment interest. It wasn't only Adamus. Other companies, they visited other companies as well.
But should it not be that Adamus should not be part of that? Because Adamus is in dispute.
Because it is in contention.
Yeah, it's in dispute.
No, but the contention could, I'm saying the contention could go in any way.
But can't we find Ghanaian to give? Why are we giving it to Chinese?
Nobody has given anything to anybody in the first place.
Why are Chinese? So if tomorrow I want to come to you and go and explore some mines, would you take me?
Absolutely. Why
so
not?
any Ghanaian can say, any businessman.
Anybody.
So I have a businessman, Kofi Danso, he's in Ajuso.
Yeah.
He's been telling me that he wants to go into mining.
Absolutely.
So I can bring him and you take Kofi Danso around and we go.
Absolutely. Because it's open to all, basically. All right, and like I'm saying, there's not been any finalized decision even on the future of Adamus.
But the young people, they are frightened. Those who are for Adamus, the Siama chief, they are frightened when they saw the Chinese people.
So when it comes to the sentiments of the locals, as much as we appreciate those who are in solidarity with Adamus, it's also important to put on record that there are even more people who have equally backed the revocation. And then
because they don't like something about Adamus?
Exactly. So I mean, that is why sometimes
you can show us evidence of that. Maybe we have to go on the ground.
Paul, you can see the reports. I mean, it was widely reported how, there was wide cheers and jubilation following the revocation and all of that.
Was it organized? Politically organized?
It wasn't purely organic. It was the people and you see, the transgressions, for the want of a better word, or the sins of Adamus, didn't even start now. It is something that had been there. So when the revocation came on the 26th of April, I think I will share some of the reports, with you. A lot of the locals came, they were applauding the minister, but of course, you get those who would equally back Adamus.
Okay.
And that's
I have
normal.
to. My producer is urging me, but I have to apologize to my producer. The interview with Pakwesi is generating so much interest. Producer, allow me a short time to finish it. Now, Pakwesi, this is a lawyer. He says his name is Patrick Ban. He's writing to me from Kumasi. He says responses sent by Adamus after the directive by the president for Adamus to be given a hearing. Okay. He says Adamus was never heard before the revocation on 26th April. Definitely not. This is Kwame Ban. He says Adamus was never heard before the revocation on 26th April. Definitely not, he says. The notice of revocation, he says, itself makes it clear that this was not done. He moves on. And Adamus petitioned the minister to temper justice with mercy. It's a question. You have the letter?
Yes,
okay.
It's more than, no, Paul, I think you can, if we can.
Let me move on. He says that they actually complained. He says that what you are calling temper justice with mercy is that they, Adamus, actually complained they were not given the notice, weren't heard, and denied allegations, so the decision to be reconsidered.
Paul,
this was what is in their
petition. The story was published even by City News and all the media houses who were there.
I can pull it off.
It was not, yes. They came.
Then they said the relevant question is, in all this, do you see reliance on any provision of the Minerals and Mining Act by the minister? In everything that the minister has done, has he referenced his authority out of the law? It says there was none at all, the 21 days. Okay, it says all these petitions by Adamus for a hearing and the subsequent giving of the reports of the Minerals Commission for Adamus to comment on came after the revocation of the lease, and that he says this is manifestly wrong. Okay, so let's look at another one. It says that, good evening, Paul. Wontumi can sublease according to the prosecution and judge without seeking the approval of the minister and can be jailed. But Adamus can also sublease without the approval of the minister and no prosecution? That's what somebody's asking. Wontumi cannot sublet according to the prosecution and the judge without seeking the approval of the minister and may be jailed still. Still, Adamus can also sublease without the minister's approval and there's no prosecution. Sorry, Chairman Wontumi. Sorry. What do you say to this? This is like a poem.
So
it says Wontumi did the same thing and he's in jail. Why is Adamus doing the same thing and they are not being prosecuted?
I think this matter has only begun. The chapter has only started. Now is the revocation, right? So yes, their operation have been halted and frozen in that particular respect. The next one that would follow.
Somebody has sent a petition to me. Wow. How do people get my number? Okay. So it says that it says, please, for ease of reference, I've sent the petition to you. Okay. Mr. Producer, it's a 4-page petition. I'm sending it to you quickly. We can still look at it when Pakwesi is gone. We can't take all of his time today. This is just our first effort. So I've sent it to you, producer. The petition has come to my phone so that we can understand the temper justice with mercy. It says, at no material time did Adamus concede it has breached. Okay, all right. It says the Ghana Revenue Authority never uses an IMC to chase people who are in default. The IMC was headed by somebody who had been dismissed from Adamus years prior, who is at loggerheads with Adamus. They have revoked the license of Northern Ashanti Mines, also belonging to Adamus owners. The target is Adamus. Nothing more, nothing less. Wow. Okay, the revocation license is what you sent to me. My friend, the one who said he sent me this is a notice of revocation. This is Minister for Lands Resource. Please find reference. I have the petition you refer to. Where is the petition? Okay, let me send it to you again, producer. There's another document I've sent to you. Look at it. It's 19 minutes past 10. The petition is also
time
here.
Is running very fast.
Yes. Let me send it. We can look at all that when you've gone. But Pakwesi, thank you very much for your time. I'm coming at short notice. Viewers, we called him around 8 o'clock in the evening and he said, no problem, he'll come.
Paul, last words, maybe some 30 seconds.
Yes.
I want to put on record that whether in the large scale spectrum or on the small scale, ecosystem, when it comes to, mining, there are laws. And so we would want to plead with.
But that's what somebody said. That what law are you relying on?
Players, I would have taken you through.
Is it in the act? Is it act?
Absolutely. But
okay.
I'll send that one to you.
Yes,
the specific, the basis, the legal basis upon which the action was taken. So thank you.
One more thing. I think whatever happens, we shouldn't take a man away from a Ghanaian woman. Whatever happens.
Are you saying even
whatever happens,
even if there are flagrant violations,
whatever the violations are, if we come into the mining place now and we are sending people, I told you we have the recording of the interaction with the Chinese people. We'll play it on Tuesday. But if we send people there, you will find all of these violations for whatever it's worth. We can't take a mine from a Ghanaian woman. I mean, that's going to be major. We will go and complain to First Lady Lordina Mahama, and she will agree with us. We can't take a mind from a Ghanaian woman.
Is that not rather selectivity? Why you are placing emphasis on Ghanaian woman?
We have to protect the Ghanaian woman.
Even if there is,
in America, they will protect the American.
Or even if the errors are clear,
so long as it can be remedied.
That's what I said. This one cannot be remedied. Concessions had been given out already. Those who were brought on had already perpetrated the illegality. How do you remedy that?
Yeah, you can arrest the people. You can punish the people who give the concession. But to stop the process of the work that a Ghanaian woman is doing as a minor, I think this is...
Maybe we can agree to disagree on
all right,
that.
We'll leave it here.